Again, you're watching ACT TV, and these are the Progressive News Movement headlines for Thursday, July 2nd. Qualified immunity, the practice of shielding police officers from prosecution, even in the face of accusations of excessive force and or violating the constitutional rights of civilians. Qualified immunity is being challenged in the Senate by some progressive heroes and sheroes. Senator Ed Markey, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren are pushing for an end to that practice and to that legal protection for law enforcement officials. Yesterday, they introduced a bill in the Senate that would do exactly that. So, now is the time to call your senator and express your support, like now, like today. Imagine what could happen if we start holding people with power accountable for their behavior in this country. No wonder Republicans are so against it. Think of the precedent it would set, and the president it would set free from his office, hopefully. Anyway, Markey said in a statement that qualified immunity makes it almost impossible for a victim of excessive force by a police officer to hold that officer accountable in a court of law. The legal protection, given the harm that it has caused and the manner to which it roadblocks justice, said Markey, must come to an end. Again, take some action. This is ACT TV. We hope you'll do more than watch. Call your senator today and say that you support the Ending Qualified Immunity Act. And when you hear mainstream media say this is a do-nothing Congress, they're not doing anything, nothing is happening, well, just remember that it's Republican obstructionism that stops everything. But these folks are actually doing something to try to help this situation. So call your senators today about that. Immigrants' rights activists are celebrating a federal judge's rebuke to the White House on Wednesday. The U.S. District Court for Washington, D.C. blocked a rule that required asylum seekers to apply for humanitarian aid in other countries that they have traveled to before reaching the U.S. southern border. The judge also ruled against the Trump administration's request for a stay pending an expected appeal from the federal government. The judge said he saw literally no reason to grant the request. And get this, that very same judge was a Trump-appointed judge. Hooray, the system is working. The judge is going by the law instead of by, being a Trump footman. Is this good? Can we celebrate? The legal advocacy group Races, which along with the Human Rights First and the Capital Area Immigrants Rights Coalition, CARE, represents the plaintiffs in the case. They called the ruling a huge win for refugees, something to celebrate for progressives today. A big pharma trade group filed a federal lawsuit late on Tuesday against Minnesota's Alec Smith Insulin Affordability Act, just hours, really minutes before it took effect. The law they want to attack is named for a 26-year-old diabetic who died in 2017 from complications from, having to ration his insulin because he couldn't afford the medicine and the supplies. Under the law, people with diabetes who can't afford the medicine will be able to get a 30-day supply for no more than a $35 copay. And it requires drug makers to participate. They have to participate. No excuses. No wonder those drug makers want to undermine it. State Attorney General Keith Ellison tweeted Wednesday morning in response, "We look forward to defending the people of Minnesota in court against this morally repugnant behavior. You can fight pharma greed and protect patients by advocating for safe, effective, affordable drugs and medical devices at citizen.org. Again, it's citizen.org, a good place to go. Hey, again, wouldn't it be a nice precedent to set to have a $35 copay for all the supplies and medicine that a particular healthcare need, folks with diabetes, would have? That's a great precedent. It would be the kind of precedent set, so that maybe others might have set prices for their medications and that price gouging might be finally put to bed in this country. In other news, the ACLU is urging lawmakers to take serious action to fix the racist policing system in the U.S. In a recent campaign email, the civil rights group said police militarization is not the answer. Police in our schools is not the answer. The over-policing of our communities, where Black and brown people are criminalized, targeted, and killed, also not the answer. The only way to fix the brutality and violence of police in America, according to the ACLU, is to divest. We've been talking about divestment here on this program for quite some time. You can go and support these actions at action.aclu.org. Today, what they're doing is sending a message to Congress to end the militarization of police and the over-policing of communities now. Very important. Another thing you can do. And this is an interesting story. Breaking news, in fact. Ghislaine Maxwell, the British socialite and heiress who was the confidant of the disgraced financier and accused rapist and child molester Jeffrey Epstein. You know her. She was later accused of involvement in his alleged sexual crimes. The woman who would get the girls for him. Ugh. A repugnant person. Well, she's been arrested by the FBI. Woo! She was arrested in New Hampshire on Epstein-related charges and is expected to appear in federal court later today. That is, if they don't put her alone in a jail cell with two people who fall asleep and then she wakes up having committed suicide, because Ghislaine is the one who knows where all the bodies are buried. We should have a progressive army. An army of people who care about the sexual assault of young girls, watching her and making sure she's alive to talk. Ghislaine was the one-time girlfriend of Epstein, who was by his side for decades as he preyed on young women. You're watching ACT.tv. That was our progressive movement headlines for today. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and watch us all the time there. Thanks.